Welcome to our activity time. Today we are once again looking at our great country, America. What is another name for America? Xavier?
The United States of America.
That's it, and students watching, we could call it the United States of America, or we could say it is the USA. I want you to notice that I brought with me today this. Now students watching, what do we call this right here? And what is this called, Willow?
A globe.
A globe, and a globe is what our world looks like. Notice on my globe as I spin it around, there's a lot of places that are blue. As you look at the blue at the globe, what are you looking at, students watching? And Kira, what does the blue mean on our globe?
There's lots of water.
There is. Our globe, our world is covered with water. A lot of times the big blue you see on our globe are oceans. An ocean is a big piece of water. But there's something else on my globe, and sometimes it's all different colors. A big piece of land is called what, students watching? We have 7 of them. What is that big piece of land called, Jed? There are 7
states.
Well, more than states. States was a good try, though. We've got a lot of those in our country. If you remember, give me a smile. There are 7 what, Kyle?
Continents.
Yes, say it louder.
Continents.
And students watching, did you know that? There are 7 continents all on our globe and our world. I wonder if some people remember where the United States is. What continent it's on. Now, I don't even have my globe facing the correct way, so students watching, we're going to see if someone in this classroom can spin my globe and find where the United States is. Rio, I love those eyes. Rio, come spin my globe. Let's find the United States to show our students watching. Woo, he spun it fast, I think a little too fast. Rio, let's see if we can find the United States. Do you see it? Point to it. Really close. We're actually right over there, and students watching, you can see that we're right at the continent of North America. Right underneath is the continent of South America. We move across to Europe, then we have Africa, we have Asia. Over here is the continent of Australia, and at the very, very, very bottom, students watching, what continent do you see? And which continent is at the bottom, Leah? Oh, it's cold. Our map maker put it in white.
North.
You're pretty close. It is cold. And students watching, what's its name? What is this continent called, Hannah S?
Antarctica.
What is it, Leah?
Antarctica.
Antarctica is correct. Now you can see on my map I have here that we once again have our compass rose. And our compass rose helps us with direction. I wonder, do I have a student watching who remembers all of the directions? What about in this classroom? Who can come up and share with us the directions? Brock, come up really, really quickly. Rio was ready. Good job, Rio. Let's see if Brock remembers his directions. Face this way and we'll do it together, okay, Brock? Let's start with north, south, east,
west.
Good, do it by yourself now.
North, south, east, west.
Let's everybody stand. Students watching, join us. Brock, you help me out as teacher. Let's say these directions together.
North, south, east, west.
Very nice job. You may have a seat. Brock, thank you for sharing with us those directions. Well, when we were in our last lesson, we were all the way here in the country of Spain. We were on the continent of Europe, and we talked about a very important man who was a wonderful explorer and discoverer. What was the name of that explorer and discoverer, Kira? Christopher?
Columbus.
Say it a little louder.
Christopher Columbus.
Yes, and students watching, remember, Christopher Columbus made a little bit of a mistake, but it turned out to be something good. He thought he was going to go, Jade and Elle, all the way to the West Indies. But he didn't realize there was land in the way. And when he traveled, he came down very close to our continent of North America. Well, many people discovered that this was new land. This was not the West Indies, a place they already knew where it was. This was something new, and this was something different. Well, many kings and queens on the continent of Europe, they decided that they wanted to send people to go live in this new world. Well, there was a group of people who lived all the way here on this island. The name of this island was England, and these were people who wanted to worship God in the right way. Oh, they thought it was important to read God's word. They thought it was important to gather together during church time, and they wanted to worship God in a way that was pleasing. Well, they asked the king if they could go over to this new world because they wanted to worship God in the Bible way. Well, it took the king a while to decide, but finally he decided, yes, you can get onto a boat and you can travel all the way across the ocean, and I will give you some land in this new world on that continent of North America. Well, these people, we call them pilgrims. A pilgrim is a traveler, and this group of people, we called them all pilgrims because they were all going to be travelers to a faraway place. Well, they got onto a boat and they thought that they were ready to go. The name of the boat was the Speedwell. And they thought, well, we'll get quickly across this ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. But they found something out. The Speedwell was not a good ship. The Speedwell was a ship that could not take them across the ocean safely, and God spared their lives. So the pilgrims quickly got off the Speedwell, but they had to look for a different boat. And the boat they found was a boat called the Mayflower. Now you can see that I have a picture of what the Mayflower probably looked like on the ocean. And there we see that Mayflower ready to travel. Do you see the type of water the Mayflower is traveling in? Is this the type of water you would like to be on a boat on, students watching? What do you think, Cooper? Would you want to be traveling in a boat with weather like that?
No.
No, I wouldn't, because it was very stormy. You see, by the time the pilgrims found the Mayflower and they were able to travel across the ocean, it was time for the storms to come on the ocean. But did you know that God kept them safe? The boat wasn't very big at all. It was a pretty small boat, but God kept them safe as they traveled across the ocean. Now, when the pilgrims were to come to this new world, the king had said to them that they could come to a place really close to where our state of Virginia is. And you can see by my map where Virginia is. It is pretty close to the south. But that bad weather did something. That bad weather blew their boat up north. And instead of the pilgrims landing close to this area, they were all the way up here at the state of Massachusetts. Now, it wasn't a state then. Today we know where it is, and today the state is Massachusetts. And there they stopped and they did something. The very first thing that the pilgrims did was they stopped and they thanked God for keeping them safe. They did it at a rock, and today we call that rock Plymouth Rock, and you can even go and visit Plymouth Rock, and you can see the place where those pilgrim leaders took just a moment, even though there was a lot of busy work to do, and they thanked God for keeping them safe. Do you thank God for the blessings in your life? Did you thank God for all of the things that we learned today? What about for your mom and for your dad? Oh, those pilgrims were so thankful. Here they were at a new land, ready to worship God the right way. And God had kept them safe even though their weather wasn't the best. Well, the pilgrims, when they got off that boat, they began to work right away. A lot of times when we think about traveling and visiting places, there's places to go. There's a hotel we could stay in, or there's roads to travel on. But when the pilgrims came right there to that state of Massachusetts where they landed, there weren't buildings there. There weren't places for them to stay. Everything they did, they had to make themselves, and you can see that they were very busy. Even the boys, even the children came and began to help to cut down those trees and start to make the places for them to live. You know, one of the very first things they built it was a church. Do you remember why they came over to this new world? It was to worship God in the Bible way. And meeting together to thank God and worship God is the reason they were there. Now that first winter, it was very hard for the Pilgrim boys and girls and men and women. In fact, there wasn't enough food for them to eat. Our history books tell us that there were some times that the Pilgrims, they didn't have enough to eat. In fact, they had so little food, they would only have 5 kernels of corn at a meal. But they were still thankful to God for keeping them safe. Well, the Pilgrims, as they continued on and as they went, they were still thankful for the blessings they had because God did something. After that hard winter was over, we know that the Pilgrims met some people, and maybe some of you even know who the Pilgrims met. The Pilgrims met some Indians. Now today we call them Native Americans because they were the people who were first here in our country of America. But there were 2 very important Native Americans called Squanto and Samoset. And Squanto and Samoset let the Pilgrims know right away, we're friends. We're here to help you. So they helped them learn how to plant in this new world. They showed them exactly what to do, how to plant, where to plant, when to plant. And that spring and that summer, oh, the Pilgrims were so blessed because those plants grew and their gardens had so much. So that the Pilgrims said to themselves, we need to do something. We thanked God for keeping us safe across the water. Now we want to thank God that we have more than enough food. So they said, let's gather together and let's take a time of rest. We don't want to keep working. After the harvest is over, let's rest and let's just have a time of thankfulness. We'll have lots of food to eat. And the Pilgrims remembered something. It was their Native American friends. They said, we want you to come too. You come and you share with us in all of the blessings that God has given to us. So those Pilgrim women, and I'm sure those Pilgrim men, began gathering up that food. And here you can see by my picture, they're ready to sit down and eat with their friends and thank God for the blessings. That very first Thanksgiving feast lasted for 3 days. Hadn't God blessed them? Just the winter before, they'd had days that all they had to eat was just 5 kernels of corn. But just after that harvest, God caused those plants to grow so and have so much food that they could stop their work for 3 days of thankfulness to God. And oh, those Pilgrims were thankful for the blessings God had given to them. Well, as our country began to grow, there were many people, and in many states, they would have a time of Thanksgiving just like the Pilgrims. Maybe a mayor of a city or a governor of a state would say, everybody, we want to have a day of Thanksgiving, and we're going to have it on this date, and everybody stops work, and we're just going to thank God for blessings. But there was a lady whose name was Sarah Hale, and Sarah Hale says, I think our country needs to do something. I think our country needs to stop and all together on the same day have a time of Thanksgiving to thank God for all that He has given to us. So she wrote letter after letter after letter until finally a letter came to the desk of President Abraham Lincoln. Now, students watching, do you recognize that name? I know boys and girls in our classroom do. And President Abraham Lincoln read her letter and agreed. And President Lincoln was the first president who said, we're going to stop our work in all states, and this is the day that we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving, and we're going to thank God for the blessings that He has given to us. Haven't we been blessed by God? I know that we do. That fourth Thursday in November, we'll stop what we're doing. We won't come to school, and Mom and Dad won't go to work. And we'll just say, God, thank you for our blessings. But every day, God blesses us. Oh, we can see by this picture what we are able to do. You see, those Pilgrims, this is the reason they came over. This is the reason they wanted to come to America. is they wanted to worship God in the Bible way. And all of us have that ability now. Our students watching where you are, our boys and girls in the classroom, we can stop and worship God in our classrooms during Bible time, even during arithmetic time, we can thank God. And we can go to church and we can thank God for blessings. Notice right here our coin. It's a coin from our great country, America. And I want you to notice something. It has some words on it, and they're good words. First is the name of our country. It tells us how much this money is worth. It has the word liberty, which means freedom. But do you see these little words right here? These are the words, in God we trust. If I had a coin for each of you and students watching, and if you looked at a coin and if you read that coin, you would see the words, in God we trust. Now that doesn't mean that everybody in our country is a Christian and has Jesus living in their heart, but it does mean that our country was started by men and women who loved God and who wanted God to have blessings on our country. Did you know that even today, there are missionaries who want to go throughout the world and share the blessings that God has given to us?